The classroom was buzzing with laughter, but it wasn't the kind that came from joy. It was sharp, cruel, and pointed like a dagger. At the center of it all stood Ms. Elena, a young teacher who had dedicated her life to her students, even when they gave her nothing but ridicule in return. She had walked into school that day wearing her favorite outfit, a modest but elegant dress she'd saved up for months to buy. It wasn't about fashion, it was about confidence, about showing the students she believed in presenting her best self to inspire them. But for a group of bullies in her class, it became their next target. The ringleader, Jason, had been a troublemaker since the start of the semester. He thrived on making others feel small. With his friends egging him on, he smirked as he flicked open a small blade he had smuggled in. While Ms. Elena bent over to help a struggling student, Jason slid the blade across the fabric of her dress. A loud rip followed, echoing through the classroom. Gasps filled the air before cruel laughter erupted. Ms. Elena froze. Her heart pounded in her chest as she realized what had just happened. Her outfit, her dignity, had been destroyed in front of the very children she had sworn to guide and protect. Tears burned at the corners of her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Years of hardship had forged a quiet strength in her. She had grown up poor, fighting for every bit of respect she earned. She remembered the nights she spent studying under candlelight, the sacrifices her parents made, and the promises she had made to herself, never to be weak, never to let cruelty win. Standing up straight, she faced the bullies who were still laughing at her pain. That was the moment the room shifted. Her eyes locked on Jason's, and for the first time, the boy saw not just a teacher, but a force to be reckoned with. In a voice calm but thunderous in its impact, she said, "You think breaking fabric makes you strong? You don't even know what strength looks like." She moved with a swiftness none of them expected. Her years of martial arts training, something she had kept private, now surged to the surface. With one fluid motion, she struck the desk Jason was leaning against, splitting it with a precision strike of her palm. The sound was deafening, silencing the room instantly. Jason's bravado melted away. His smirk vanished, replaced by wide, trembling eyes. His friends shifted nervously in their seats, suddenly very aware of how fragile they were compared to the storm that had just revealed itself in their teacher. Ms. Elena didn't need to touch them. Her power wasn't in violence but in control. The bullies, who moments ago thought they owned the classroom, now looked like scared children who had poked the wrong lion. Jason stumbled back, his face pale, his hands shaking. A dark spot spread across his jeans, his fear made visible for everyone to see. The other students watched in stunned silence. Some had always admired Ms. Elena Chu. That night, Ms. Elena sat alone in her small apartment, staring at the torn fabric of her dress. It was just cloth, yet it carried so much weight. The humiliation still stung, echoing in her mind. For a moment, she allowed herself to cry, not out of weakness but release. She thought about leaving the job, about giving up on the dream she had worked so hard for. But then, she remembered the look in her students' eyes when she stood her ground, the silence, the respect, the awe. It reminded her why she became a teacher in the first place, not to escape challenges, but to shape lives through them. The next morning, she walked into the school not with fear but with renewed determination. Some students still whispered, but there was something different in their voices, curiosity, respect, and even admiration. She stood at the front of the class, her voice steady. "We all make choices," she said. "Yesterday you saw mine. I hope one day you'll make yours with the same courage." The class was silent, but it wasn't the silence of boredom or rebellion. It was the silence of people listening. Really listening. Jason didn't meet her eyes that day. His pride was bruised, but something else was growing inside him too, guilt. For the first time, he realized how his actions didn't just hurt Ms. Elena, but also himself. At lunch, he sat apart from his usual crowd, replaying her words. His friends teased him for being shaken, but their laughter didn't feel the same. It felt hollow. For the first time, Jason questioned whether being the bully was worth it. The following week, Ms. Elena noticed something remarkable. The same students who once mocked her now began protecting her. When another boy muttered a cruel joke about her outfit, it wasn't Ms. Elena who spoke up, it was a student named Sarah, a shy girl who had always kept to herself. "Enough," Sarah said firmly. "She deserves better than that." The room went quiet. A mess. Elena's heart swelled with pride, realizing her actions had given her students courage to stand up for themselves and for others. Still, the challenge wasn't over. Some parents complained that Ms. Elena had used violence in the classroom when she broke the desk. Rumors swirled in the school office. The principal called her in, his tone stern. "You know what you did was unconventional," he said. "Some might say too much." Ms. Elena met his gaze calmly. "And yet, the class has been more respectful this week than in the last 6 months. Discipline isn't about punishment, it's about awakening responsibility. Sometimes the strongest lessons aren't in the books." The principal studied her for a long moment before nodding. "You may have a point. Just be careful." Word of the incident spread beyond the classroom, becoming almost legend among the students. They whispered about how Ms. Elena had shattered a desk with a single strike, how the bullies had wet their pants in fear. But the story, exaggerated or not, carried a deeper truth. It wasn't a boo.